know, it's what, November 18? It's November 18, so that means we have more or less 12 days until the big day. The big day, of course, just in case you didn't know, is on November 30. That is when we will open the 30th Southeast Asian Games, which we will host right here in the Philippines. So this is great news for all of us here in the country. Yes, round of applause, please. This is great news for everyone here in the country. We will be exposed to all sorts of talent and athletic prowess from all over the region. And of course, it's great news for 5 and Signal as well, because 5 and Signal will be the official broadcasters of this momentous event. More applause, come on. A round of applause. Thank you very much. I'm sure you're all wondering, okay, so official broadcaster, what does that mean? How extensive will this coverage be really? Now this is what we will be sharing with all of you who have joined us today as we discuss Sama-Sama sa SEA Games, the 2019 SEA Games broadcast of 5 and Signal. And with that, I would like to welcome you all to our press launch for Sama-Sama sa SEA Games, the 2019 SEA Games broadcast of 5 and Signal. Would it be too much to ask for another round of applause? All right. It has been 14 years actually since the Philippines last hosted the Southeast Asian Games. The last edition was back in 2005. So this is a chance really for us to showcase all of our top athletes in the country. So the names, some names that come to mind are names that you are all familiar with already because they have been making waves in the news. We have, of course, Hybrid Diaz, our Olympic weightlifting medalist. We have Carlos Yulo, our world gymnastics champion. Our Asian Games gold medalist, skateboarder Margie Dinal. And of course, we have our Philippine volleyball team. We have our Gilas Pilipinas basketball and all the rest of our elite athletes that we cannot wait to see in action. Now, aside from that, we also get a chance to welcome our regional neighbors. Now, just so you know, Sama-Sama sa SEA Games, which is 5 and Signal SEA Games broadcast campaign, is not just a call to unity. It is also our commitment to provide world-class coverage, capturing all the heart-stopping action and inspiring stories of our athletes. And to tell us more, of course, we'd like to invite Signal TV and TV5 President and CEO to welcome you all today, Ms. Jane Basas.
Good afternoon to our guests and partners from FISGO. The COO, Mr. Tatsu Sara, is here, as well as Georgian Alcazar. Our friends from Smart Communications, I believe Renren Reyes is on his way. From Acer Predator, represented by its Managing Director, Mr. Manuel Wong. From MG, our friends from MG are here, Lynn Buena and June Maneze. And our friends from Manulife, Rexona, Chooks to Go, and Big Boss Cement, as well as our friends from the media. Today is a special day as we officially unveil our broadcast campaign, Sama-Sama sa SEA Games. This is a collaborative campaign of TV5 and Signal TV as one of the official broadcasters of the 30th Southeast Asian Games. Under this umbrella campaign, our hope is to bring together Filipinos locally and abroad to rally behind our athletes as they all experience the games live and through our varied platforms on free-to-air, pay TV, and digital. As official broadcasters, our goal is to provide the most comprehensive, up-to-date, and in-depth programming and airing of this historic event. That includes giving the spotlight to as many sports events and sports competition as possible, and bringing the action to sports fans in every Filipino home here and abroad. Come November 30, TV5 and Signal TV will make it possible for everyone to watch the SEA Games live on TV and online. For free-to-air, we have PD5 featuring basketball, boxing, billiards, and badminton, and 5 Plus for esports and other fight sports competition, such as Taekwondo, Karate Do, including Wushu, and weightlifting. For pay TV, there's One Sports on Signal TV airing the games on high definition, plus 3 new channels that we will be putting up specifically for this event. The first channel will be called the SEA Games channel, which will deliver round-the-clock coverage of international sports. So this is the channel that we will actually syndicate overseas. The second channel is called Team Pilipinas channel, which will highlight the best moments of our Filipino athletes. And the third will be the SEA Games News channel, which will provide access to daily medal tallies, news, and updates. All channels above are all offered on both SD and HD, and best to experience sports events on TV on high definition. So a little bit of a plug, please apply and get your Signal TV to enjoy the games best. For digital, we have ESPN5.com, of course the Signal Play app, plus 3 other SEA Games dedicated YouTube channel and Facebook Live that will be available 24/7. So obviously we're trying to make the games available to as many platforms because we want to reach as many Filipinos, not just here in the Philippines, but globally as well. This year's SEA Games will be the largest in history with 56 sporting events, and esports debuting as an official medal event. This is a huge step legitimizing video gaming as a true competitive sport. Our broadcast coverage wouldn't have been possible without the support and confidence of Smart Communications, as well as our other partnerships with Fisgo, Acer Predator, MG, Manulife, Rexona, Chooks to Go, and Big Boss Cement. Their continued faith and belief in Philippine sports and our athletes have allowed us to put together this exciting broadcast campaign for our country. Kaya sa darating na November 30 hanggang December 11, sama-sama tayong manood, sama-sama sa tugumpay, sama-sama sa SEA Games. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jade Basas. Okay, you heard it straight from her. There are so many things to be excited about with the upcoming 30th Southeast Asian Games that, once again, I will remind you, will be happening right here in our country. Now, thank you again, Ms. Jane, for your inspiring message. Now, before we proceed, we'd like to acknowledge some very important people who are with us as well here today. We have first the Vice President, Channels and Content of Signal TV, Ms. Chena Olaso. We also have the head of TV5 Sports, Mr. Paulo Diaz. The AVP, head of Channel Management and Programming for Signal TV, Mr. Miguel Vea. And we would also like to acknowledge the presence of some of our valuable sponsors for our broadcast campaign. Senior Vice President for Consumer Business Market Development of SMART, Mr. Oscar Reyes. We'd also like to acknowledge the presence of the COO of Fisgoc, Mr. Tatsu Zara. More VIPs. You're a very important bunch here today. Thank you for joining us once again. We have the first Vice President, Head of Sales of Signal TV, Mr. Robert Gana. The Chief of Staff of the Office of the President of TV5, Lloyd Manaloto. The VP for Revenue and Data Analytics and Research of Signal TV, Yolanda Viola. Broadcast Operations Head of TV5, Raul de la Cruz. The AVP for Smart, Mon Samarista. The Senior Managing Director of Fisgoc, Jojin Alcazar. We also have our sponsors. Thank you for joining us today. From Manulife, we have the brand manager, Barbara Reyes. And the social media lead, Yvette Castillo. From Predator, we have the managing director, Manuel Wong. The senior marketing manager, Princess Lau Santos. And the marketing communications lead, Anne Magana. And from the Covenant Car Company, MG Philippines, The Senior Vice President and Director for Marketing, Lynn Buena. The AVP for Marketing, June Maneze. And the Brand Manager, Rainier Ryan. Once again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, so once again, the very smart, if I may say, the very smart campaign for our broadcast for the SEA Games is called Sama Sama sa SEA Games. So, and we'd like to tell you more about this, so let's all direct our attention to the screen. Let's watch this. Wonderful video that the team has put together here, because as you can see, it not only showcases how interwoven the culture and the spirit, the fighting spirit of the Filipino is, but it also speaks for our other neighbors from the region, because we have similar cultures, and it's very, very nice to see that all together condensed in one video. Now, we would like to reiterate how valuable our support is, the support that we're getting from our valuable sponsors. So to give us a few words is Smart Communications Senior Vice President for Consumer Business Market Development. May we call up on stage, Mr. Audrey.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to congratulate our partners, TV5 and Signal, for the successful press launch. PLDT and SMART have consistently been a strong supporter of sports. You know, we organize and support grassroots and community development sport activities around the nation. And we're actively participating in collegiate sports and professional sports organizations as well, as you all know. And we also support and reward individual sportsmen and women and teams that successfully bring glory to the Philippines in various tournaments. Most recently, the gymnast Carlos Yulo and our boxer Nesty Peticio. So over the years, PLDT, SMART, and the MVP Sports Foundation have consistently been there for Filipino athletes. And now, we are very excited to support our country as the Philippines hosts the 30th Southeast Asia Games as its official telecom partner. We are also supporting our national esports team, CBOL, as esports debuts in this prestigious international tournament. We at SMART, in particular, are very excited as esports levels up and develops into a genuine sport. And Filipino esports athletes step onto the Southeast Asian Games stage to compete and hopefully win. Now, why do we do all of this? We support sports because we believe that sports is not only a great career in itself, it is also great training for life itself. The values we learn from sports, such as perseverance, discipline, mindfulness, teamwork, passion, dedication, among others, are important values that we should apply in our daily lives to help us become better people, better Filipinos. And with this, I end my short speech by thanking our partners, FISGO, TV5, Signal, all the sports organizations, and more importantly, the athletes who will represent us in the Southeast Asia Games. Maraming salamat po sa inyong sakripisyo, tikas, gilas, galing at pagmamahal para sa bayan. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oscar Reyes Jr. Yeah, there's a footnote there, and it consists of two letters. Junior. Okay, so we have had a parade of very important people up on stage, not including me. And we would like to call on another VIP to tell us more about the FISGOC broadcast partnership with Vibe and Signal. We'd like to call on our representative from the Philippine Southeast Asian Games Organizing Committee, which is FISGOC, the COO, Mr. Ramon at Suzanne.
Jane Basas, the President and CEO of TV5 and Signal, Oscar, our good friend here from Smart, another good friends here of the media, TV5, Signal, PLDT Smart, our sponsors here, my colleague here, the Senior Managing Director, Jodit Alcazar. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. It was more than 2 years ago, in September 2017, when FISGO presiding chairperson, the Honorable Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano, approached me to help him with the hosting of the 30th SEA Games. He was still serving as the Secretary of Department of Foreign Affairs at the time, when he sought advice in creating a SEA Games master plan. The sportsman in him had a vision of bringing Filipino athletes to greater glory by hosting the SEA Games, but he saw more than just that. He saw an opportunity for a country campaign, a good launchpad for a reputational change to sports. Fast forward to today's occasion, we now stand here with just 12 days to go. You know, but it's not really 12 days to go. We start our first event on Sunday. We start polo on Sunday, and then Monday we have football, followed by water polo. So there are about 8 sports before the opening ceremony on November 30. So this week is already games time mode. It's not only the opening ceremony. With so many changes and even challenges, we at FISGO have remained steadfast in our objective to host the most memorable SEA Games in all of history. 56 sports, 530 events. This is the first time this year at SEA Games. Out of many talks and speeches I delivered to represent the hardworking men and women of FISGO, I always needed to mention that we endeavor to bring the biggest, the best hosted, and most viewed SEA Games. Only because it is the plain and honest truth. It is true that we want the SEA Games to be the biggest. As I mentioned, 56 sports across 30 editions of the Games. It is true that we want the SEA Games to be the best hosted, as we have received the full support of the Philippine government, with His Excellency President Rodrigo Duterte, with his Build program. Also, with the help of our PCA and its partners, we now have an athletic stadium that we're proud of, world-class, certified by IAAF as Class 1 facility. We now have an aquatic center, fully accredited by FINA as Class 1 also. I'd like to invite all of you to visit. This coming Thursday, we will officially open the Athletes Village. This is the first Athletes Village in the history of the Philippines sports. So we should be proud of this. Palakpakan natin. The Athletes Village, I'm proud to say, is an Olympic level type of Athletes Village. No? This Thursday, we're doing a dining hall main dining hall simulation. We will test the food at the Athletes Village to cater about 2,000 athletes during games time. It's also true that we want the SEA Games to be the most viewed. After all, everything that FISGO, the Philippine Sports Commission, and the Philippine Olympic Committee have done for the past year are all geared towards crafting a unique, enjoyable, unforgettable show. We want to be able to reach our target of more than 500 million viewers all around the globe. Sports is a narrative that we never grows old. Over and over again, we want to bear witness to the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, the pursuit of excellence, the drive to go faster, higher, and stronger in the Olympic movement. With our host broadcaster, NP, our official partner here today, TV5 and Signal, the storytelling sports narrative will find a new, fresh perspective combining the advent of technology with the masterful touch of broadcast experts and content specialists. It's also good to know that all our partners in other networks are coming together, unified. You see, dati, interview ko lang, 85, tama na. Ngayon, 5-5, sabay-sabay with the other networks, ABS-CBN, TV4, JP7, all other networks. So it's really a unified thing for all the networks for this event. And so we just 12 days to go, I mentioned, let our efforts take us farther, let our determination fuel us further, let our passion burn brighter. And know that we can only succeed if we work together, if we work as one, we win as one, as the slogan goes. On behalf of FISGO Chairperson Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano, Vice Chairperson PSC Chairman Luis Ramirez, and POC President Congressman Bambol Tolentino, I invite each and every one of you to come and celebrate the 30th Southeast Asian Games 2019. Tayong lahat, sama-sama sa SEA Games, sama-sama sa tagumpay ng lahing Pilipino. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tatsuzara. Unfortunately, sir, as I just mentioned to you here off the stage, you will have to remain on stage because we learned so many things, and I'm sure our friends from the press actually will have a lot of questions for all of our VIPs who have just spoken. So yes, Mr. Suzara is here up on stage for a Q&A. May we call back up on stage Ms. Jane Batas, as well as Mr. Oscar Reyes Jr. from SMART back up on stage. And to join the three of them, can we please have Mr. Miguel Vea, the AVP and Head of Channel Management and Programming of Signal TV, and Mr. Paulo Diaz, the Head of TV5 Sports. All right, our friends from the media are not incomplete. Where is it? I know that you have all been jotting down your questions since we started. So with everyone up here on stage, armed with bottles of water para hindi kayo mapagod at maubusan ng laway, let the Q&A begin. We open the floor for questions. Please state your name and your media outfit. Fire away. Anyone? Anyone? Okay, ako na lang. Okay, first question. Ms. Jane, you mentioned earlier that we will have multiple platforms for viewing the events of the SEA Games. So you mentioned 5, you mentioned Signal, you mentioned a digital platform really, and multiple channels actually on Signal. Now what's the impact of having all of these multiple platforms?
Well, we all know that the viewing habits of Filipinos have changed, right? People just don't watch free TV. People also consume content on free-to-air, and more importantly, consume content on digital devices. So we felt that to be able to reach as many Filipinos, it's best for us to be able to bring the games across these multiple platforms. So you will see the actual live games on not just on TV, but also on the digital platform. platforms, and we're actually going to be developing ancillary content, right? Highlights, profiles on the players to make sure that we enjoy the games as much as possible.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Do we have any more questions from the audience? We have microphones just standing here. We have two, in fact. So don't be shy. Step up, ask questions. That is key. With the microphone, he will go around and offer it to you. Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Jean Malang from the Philippine News Agency. My question is for Miss Jane. Okay, will, as official broadcaster of the games, will you be getting the services of former athletes as panelists? While covering
Yes,
games?
yes.
And,
Jenna,
can we get the names like?
Hi. Yes, we will. We actually have a big pool of analysts and anchors for the SEA Games who will be covering the events. Quickly, from basketball, of course, from the TV5 side, we have ex-players and coaches like, well, in my head is Ryan Gregorio, he's a good friend of ours. Alan Gregorio, he's there. Tony De La Cruz, he does our PBA panel. Alex Compton, coach of Alaska, is also doing the games. Basically, anyone who has expertise in the different sports that will be covered in the SEA Games, we've been in touch with them, and you're gonna hear their voices on TV come November 3.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Is that it? Okay, anyone else with a question for any of our esteemed panelists up here on station? Umiikot naman yung mic, di ba? Okay. Nagre-ready lang daw sila. Anyone else with a question?
Good afternoon. How is the coverage of the SEA Games going to extend on social media? Are you going to put some highlight videos of our athletes, the winners and all the others?
Yeah, so for social media, we have our Facebook and YouTube pages, both for TV5 and Signal. So first, we will be doing live stream. We have live stream of the games. We also have highlights, daily highlights, medal tallies. We have a lot of correspondence going around the country covering the games. So those events that are not that don't have full coverage, our reporters are there to report on any gold medals that might be won by the athletes.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I will ask. I have more questions actually. So, also, because there are multiple platforms, this can be for Ms. Jane or Sir Pao or Sir Miguel. How will you differentiate between the material that you're putting on, say, 5 or on Signal or on the digital platform? What are the divisions there or the assignments?
Okay. Well, again, most of the mainstream sports, basketball, boxing will also be on 5 Plus. We'll put it on 5. Just to, the coverage we'll have on 5 will have about 8 hours a day, and on 5 Plus, 12 hours a day. Okay, on, let's say esports will be on 5 Plus, will be live from day 1 to 6. And the rest will be on stream as well. So it's a mix of everything basically. But we try to make it Filipino-centric for our viewers.
I just want to add, right, when you see the distribution of the channels, of the games across the channels, our objective is really to make sure that Filipinos enjoy the event. So imagine in Signal, we're actually dedicating, and it's not cheap because we do pay for transponder or satellite space to make available these channels. But we have a channel that's really the Team Pilipinas channel, which will showcase all the most loved sports that Filipino athletes will compete in. So, hindi ka nalilipat, nandun na lahat. But to also cater to our audiences around the world who are interested in other sports and who are interested to watch the other international teams were putting up the SEA Games channel, which will really have access to most of the sports and most of the teams. So there's also a news channel if you just want the highlights of the games, and TV5 is allocating a huge portion of our airtime, and in fact 5 plus, most of it will really be for the SEA Games. And even the digital platforms that we will be using are the platforms the majority of people access for content. So Facebook, imagine live streaming of the games. YouTube, not just one but 3 channels, to make sure that the 3 signal channels that we're putting up specifically for SEA Games will also have its platform in digital. So the objective is, basta kung anong preferred platform mo, nandun ang SEA Games.
Okay, is anyone else going to jump in? I think we have another question here.
Hi, my name is Dina Ventura from Daily Tribune. My question is, how does TV5 plan to work with the other networks in bringing this whole event to a wider audience?
We have a host broadcaster from Singapore, it's NEP. So that's an international broadcast company, and we have to have a partner, a local partner. That's why we have TV5, ABS-CBN, GMA, and PTV4. Normally, for a multi-sport event, the organizing committee appoints a host broadcaster, then you have the rights holder. So the rights holder is TV5, ABS. So they get the feed from the IBC, International Broadcast Center in Clark, in the same convention center, and it feeds to all the local and the other foreign rights holder, like from Malaysia, Astro, and then Thai TV Pool, and all the other countries. So that's the basic procedure for the SEA Games, which is also the same for the Asian Games and the Olympic Games. So, and I'm very happy, PISGOC is very happy, and for all the public and for Filipinos to have really a wide coverage of sana kahit hindi live, no? Because we have also limited budget for live sports from 11 naging 20, but it's also cost. But basta mananalo ang Pilipino, kailangan tumakbo lahat ng network doon kung nag-gold medal na tayo. So I like the tagline, sama-sama tayo, whether manalo or hindi. But if there is an opportunity, hindi siya live sports, kung mananalo tayo ng gold medal, I'm sure all the networks should be there to cover. So it's a matter of processing from the host broadcaster, it goes to the local rights holder and the foreign rights holder together.
Thank you. A follow-up question. So there's so much expectation with regards to this coming event. Can you give us a little bit of an idea how you're feeling right now? Do you think we're ready for this?
It's for me. Well, I'm here smiling. All the pains and the hard work of Fisco is in my back. Jojit, our senior managing director, is also smiling. We have to smile. We are the leaders. We have to show that we can host this biggest SEA Games. You know, siyempre, hindi mo maiwasan, may mga negative pa rin, but you just ignore it because there's no truth about all these negatives. You have to move forward because you can imagine we have 9,000 volunteers from Clark, Subic, Metro Manila, Tagaytay, Calatagan. It's not so easy. I'll just give you an example. Polo. Polo is a new sport, but it's the most expensive sport in the SEA Games. But the government is not spending for the horses. The Princess of Brunei brought 50 horses. Mike Romero and Inigo Subel are lending their horses to the foreign delegates. And we start this Sunday in I think one of the world-class polo fields I've ever seen, the Subel polo field and the Romero polo field. The first time for me to watch polo. I think all of us, we have a chance to go to Calatagan. It's an expensive sport. It's a royal family sport, and this royal family, they are normal in the games. They don't ask something, unique. They are sportsmen. So I think with all this hard work for all of us, we are doing this for the country. It's the first time that we have a sports city that we should be proud of, a world-class athletic stadium, an aquatic center, it's so world-class, and the athletes village. So I know not all of you can really visit these places, but if you're accredited media and broadcaster, then you have the time to visit the showcase, New Clark City, but that's only 2 sports there. We have other 56 sports in Manila, Clark, and Subic. So medyo mahirap. In fact, Jane was telling me and our colleague here, how's logistics? I said it's a logistics nightmare. But even in the Olympic Games, even when I was in Rio Olympics, our hotel is 2 hours from the competition venue. So it's not easy. And then people walk in the opening ceremony because no cars and buses are allowed. So you can imagine 3 big locations with 56 sports and 58 venues. It's not so easy, but we will do this with all your help, with all your support. We can pull this through. Tomorrow, baka tapos ng SEA Games eh. Yung sinasabi ko sa staff ko na when you wake up tomorrow, the SEA Games is done. And we will appreciate all the hard work. And I'd like to thank the President for giving this push to have our new stadium, which is world class. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think we have another question here.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Mickey Wang of Manila Standard. I'd like to bring an unprecedented coverage of the SEA Games, covering at least 500 million audience. In terms of innovation and technology, how advanced is the SEA Games broadcast this year?
I'd like to call my channel said the best sports producer in the country, Sian Almaso.
You know what? Earlier we were talking about consortium. It's really a consortium between the varied networks, and I actually am part of the group of FISGOC, and I'm part of the broadcast committee. We're bringing in a lot of super slow-mo equipment. So imagine just for the TV5 coverage, we have slow-mos that we needed to work with the international broadcast, with the host broadcaster and EP. So we've got those new equipment. We've got new cameras, box cameras, to be actually flown. PLDT Smart is going to lend us 5 cameras, 360-degree cameras for the 5G network. So imagine technology is here, and we're really trying to manage where to actually locate it. Basketball, we're covering it with the 5G network of Smart, and basketball, and the New Clark City po, maglalagay din po kami. Again, athletics. So yes, we are going, not all the sports though, but I know for a fact that the other networks brought in long lenses for football, because it's going to be covered by ABS-CBN and the NEP. So we bring it together, we try to piece each and every sport, and no sport is covered less than 4 or 5 cameras, right? So, and live. So also, this time, we will be transmitting via IP. Dati po, puro satellite lang. And now, we're trying IP, of course, with the help of PLDT. And our backups are satellites, right? So, mix po ng technology. You know what's also nice? The esports. The coverage of esports is very new. You have casters, you have, the experience is something that's different, and all of that, we used to actually have events na isa lang po yung concentration ng esports. Now, aside from a featured esports game, right in the middle, there will be 5 other games being played. And all of those, there is an opportunity for us to actually stream. So it's really very, technology ridden. And again, with the help of the host broadcast, Star LED, and all the other networks, we're able to actually mix technology and what we say sports storytelling.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, since Ma'am Shanna already mentioned that, maybe we can ask Sir Oscar Reyes Jr. There was a mention of 5G technology that will be involved in the broadcast. Can you tell us a little more about that, sir?
Sure. I think first, actually, Smart was our first launch of 5G was actually in Smart. It was in Clark, New Clark City. No? So we actually do have 5G facilities and signal over there, and we've actually been building that facility so that we actually have kind of a more complete coverage of 5G. So the important thing that we've been working on for the past months is actually the use cases. And I think this particular Southeast Asian Games is a good opportunity for us to showcase these new use cases. So it will actually come in the form of different things. I don't want to spoil too much, but Shanna already mentioned that with 5G, then it actually allows us to do new things. So with the high bandwidth, can actually stream like we've never done before, like in UHD, some in 4K, possibly 8K, live streaming in that sense. 360 cameras. And then you can even have tags in terms of, for example, athletics. You can actually have live. You know which country is what with a certain tag of the people running. So it actually changes the experience of sports. And that's actually quite exciting for us to showcase. And I think aside from the broadcast side, there will be some setups at the different venues where if consumers come, they can actually experience from themselves the great new technology that 5G brings. No? So make sure to make your way to the sports village and to the sports venues and turn on your phones and actually try to experience the new 5G broadcast with TV5 and Signal.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Do we have any more questions? We're about to close the floor. Oh, okay. Okay, last question.
Good afternoon, Nick Jacob, Manila Bulletin. I'd like to ask about the opening ceremony, the list of performers.
Well, yeah, I forgot to mention, this is again the first. This is the first time that the opening ceremony of the Southeast Asian Games will be held indoors. So normal, even the Olympic Games, Asian Games, it's always in the athletic stadium. But for the first time, in the SEA Games, we're holding the opening ceremony at the Philippine Arena, which is indoors, which is good. If it rains, that's a long no. But the dilemma here, the question is, bakit walang fireworks? Ito mga tanong. So we are doing everything digital. I would say fireworks digital, but simultaneously we are doing the cauldron in New Clark City live. So dalawa yan. So the highlight of the lighting the cauldron will be live. We will have spectators, public viewing at the New Clark City with the local LGUs here and invited guests. So it's simultaneous, and it will be a very memorable opening ceremony. I wouldn't say the program. You better buy the tickets first, and then that's the time you will know the program. But again, it's the first time that we will hold the opening ceremony indoors. The concept here is like a halftime of Super Bowl. That is the intention here. But the program, of course, is always a secret. Come in a few days. And the company that FISGO awarded, because there were 5 companies who bidded this production for the opening ceremony. And finally, one company, a world-class company, a well-known company, who did the opening ceremony for the London Olympics and for the Asian Games last year in Jakarta and some other world events. So it will be really a very memorable opening ceremony. But I suggest you buy the tickets, mura lang naman. General admission, 1,500.
Oh.
And then of course, kung nakakabili tayo ng manood tayo ng YouTube, Madonna, Katy Perry, 15,000, 20,000 ng ticket ito naman, it's once in a lifetime for our athletes and the public watching the opening ceremony. A few days ago, we did a traffic transportation simulation. A few days ago. It's very successful. It took us, I took the bus from one of the artist hotel from the Heritage. It took us only an hour going to Philippine Arena. You can imagine EDSA, going to EDSA. So, nagpasalamat din ako sa publiko na nag-cooperate during the simulation and during the actual opening ceremony on November 13. I'd like to invite also our friends, which we will extend now on November 26, November 26, we will have the dress rehearsal of the opening ceremony. So normally what we do, we invite the friends of Fisco to watch November 26 because that is already the actual show. So, yung manonood ng 26, huwag na manonood sa November 13. Tama na yun, no? Doble-doble pa. So, I'd like to invite all of you on November 26. Yun yung makikita ang opening ceremony. It's the actual show. And, but I suggest ma-afford naman ng mga Pilipino kung gusto manood ng opening ceremony, 1,500 general admission, and then the highest ticket magkano ba? It's about 12,000, no? So 12,000. Katy Perry, 15,000. Madonna, 17,000. U2 nga, 25,000 eh. Nanonood pa yung Pilipino. Ito, this is the SEA Games. It's an all-Filipino show. Hindi ko nasasabihin kung sino mga artists natin. The creative is by 5C, a company, but the talents are all local, our local world-class talents. So I look forward to see you in the opening ceremony. Please lang tayo sa tagal ng antay, but normally, opening ceremony, just to let you know, we wait 4 hours. Me as a participant, as an official, we wait 4 hours sa stadium before the opening ceremony. Ang ginagawa po natin para alaman ninyo kung paano nakakarating yung mga atleta bago mag-parade. They waited 5 hours, 4 hours doon sa kabilang stadium lang, holding area. Nanonood ng Netflix habang nag-aantay, may show, kumakain. And then pag ready na, by 5 o'clock, ready na to parade. And then once they parade, papasok sa stadium, and uupo na sila para manood ng show. So, nagtitiis din ng atleta natin, even if they have games already the next day. Because they want to really participate in the opening ceremony. So we're targeting 5,000 athletes to parade because now the delegates, now we are ongoing what we call a delegation meeting with all the 11 countries. Umabot na tayo ng 9,000 athletes. Marami na po. So if dito messages namin sa WhatsApp, napakarami. So every second, alam natin how many athletes. You can imagine, Indonesia, 1,500. Singapore, 1,200. Thailand, another 1,000. Malaysia, another 1,000. Puro 1,000 na Ang maliit lang is only Laos and Cambodia that we are helping them. And Myanmar. Vietnam is about 900 only. So, puro 1,000 plus. And it's not only that, it's not even the athletes. A few days ago, I have to approve 250 observers from Indonesia. Observers lang yun. And then another 400 media from Vietnam. Why Vietnam? Because Vietnam is the next host in 2021. So 400 media pa lang. Okay? And then Thailand, another 300 observers. So a lot of these countries, hindi lang sila guests because they are entitled to a guest. Observers pa lang. And these observers are from the Ministry of Sports, the sponsors. So we are expecting 17,000 guests. Wala pa tayo ang host Philippines. So let's make this a big show. We need your support, cooperation, patience. I always say in our FISGOC meetings, assembly, I always like the song Titanium. Because Titanium, sabi ko sa mga staff, kailangan ang sikmura natin, kailangan titanium para matibay. Because all the pains, yung iyak, yung pagod, kailangan titanium din. Every new staff na papasok sa Fisgo, I always welcome, titanium ba ang tiyan mo? Kailangan matibay ka dito. Dahil, you know, and nothing is personal here. Everything is all work. All of us should work together. Sama-sama tayo sa pagpanalo ng Pilipinas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, you will be able to speak with them one-on-one after we close the program. So save your questions. Let's give a round of applause for our panel for answering everything that we threw at them. And we would like to have an official photo op for all of you here on stage. We will bring down the chairs